And I noticed that Josh Burns in the audience, which is a great thing to see, and Josh has really taken up the challenge in so many ways over the last couple of decades. And but it's something that we cannot take our eye off the ball on. And for that reason, I thought I was sort of really done everything I wanted to in architecture, and I thought, well, I really need to concentrate on other issues, engineering, building services, all the things that I found out, sensible planning, all the things that would make decarbonisation of the built environment a lot more effective. And in that journey, I met my old friend Wazim, someone from South Australia, again after many years, and now we're working together in the CRC for low carbon decarbonisation of the built environment, concentrating on engineering and scientific solutions, and we're part of the Race for 2030 CRC, which has got an incredible team of experts. There are 3 professors, 3 or 4 PhD guys all working together on a team in industrial design, thermodynamics, modelling, you name it, really well covered at the Future Industries Institute. So I'm very proud to be part of that team, and we're looking forward to making some progress in that. And so I really don't have time to be an architect, although I've been called out of retirement to do a $4 million demonstration home, and also a memorial for sailors that have gone down in the ocean so we can eat fish and chips every Friday. So coming up with a concept that will be done in Fremantle. And so I concentrate on concepts, don't do the nuts and bolts as an architect anymore, so I'm retired from that. But one of the things I am very proud of is this. This is the patent. This is what the Americans do when they give you a patent. They give you a real document. Look at that, it's handwritten. Looks like it's written by one of the old greats of American history. So it was a hard job to get an American patent. So if anyone's interested in seeing that, that's what we're going to be working on with the CRC in Adelaide. And so we kick-started the whole process with a long journey of getting the IP and making sure that we have a pathway to commercialisation that delivers a real result, not just talking about it, actually doing it. So I'm very proud to be part of that. This time round, I'm sort of not saying I'm retiring, but I'm changing, I'm morphing into something different. And I just reflected on my life as a young guy at school. I remember being really fascinated with science and maths at school, and whatever I learnt as a 10-year-old, I'd come home and work out a few experiments, and I would prove the theory, how water tension would float a pin, for instance, and come home and I'd repeat the experiment, and then started writing it up. I was doing that when I was about 10 years old. And my mother said, oh, well, this guy's going to be a microbiologist. So she bought me a microscope. So I was cutting up insects and dissecting everything, looking under them. But then I started taking an interest in design. And at 10 years old, my mother bought me for my birthday a drawing board and T-square. And I started designing houses as a 10 to 12-year-old and drawing up details for the tradie builder next door. So I was really focused on design, but it was really art and the science. And that's really what I stood for over the years. It's okay to have the science and engineering, but if you don't have the art, nobody's going to buy it. And so it's very important that the two are melded into, and that's the art of architecture. And in the same way, engineers can be very dry, two-dimensional thinkers. To introduce the way of thinking in 3 dimensions and problem solving in strategic ways that architects do, working as a team and inspiring engineers to actually pretend they're architects for a day, at least once in the project, to get cross-fertilisation into disciplinary skills that produce a much better result. And that's how Murdoch University started, to be honest. I recall meeting Phil Jennings and Peter Newman back in the late 60s, early 70s, and I did a sketch for the architect for Murdoch University. I did the sketches for the Chancery building before it was built, and looking at sketches from Bush Court. So I've been involved with Murdoch a long time, and it was a terrific start as a university, and somehow we're hanging on to that ethos, but you've really got to work at it in this day and age, being multidisciplinary, being flexible, adaptable, and using talents from different disciplines rather than, one particular group hijacking the agenda and making everyone dance that tune. So that's something I would encourage all universities to concentrate on, to have peripheral vision and do something. I've got a long version. This is a short version. I'm going to make it shorter because I'm getting hungry. But the next stage of my life was practicing. I did 800 projects in my career, employed 12 people for the best part of 20 or 30 years, and it was great. And giving lectures for Peter Newman, other people at the university. I took over architectural science at the University of WA for a year while the professor went on sabbatical. Same with Neville de Cruz when he went on sabbatical. I took over his course, and so I really enjoyed the interaction with students and looking at the architectural science and put some mathematics and logic into the brains of architects, because that's what architects used to be. They used to be guys who can do nuts and bolts, had all-round knowledge, not just fashion designers. So it was an integration of the two disciplines, and I think that's what I tried to achieve when I set up the Master of Environmental Architecture. And it was interesting. It was a little bit ahead of its time, but it may be time for the university to think about how they could meld that sort of interdisciplinary approach to the way courses are put together. And Josh Byrne would be an ideal candidate to push that idea. So I've put the sponsor down for this dinner tonight. I think it's the fourth one I've done, Ali, yes. Number 4. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'd like to talk about the importance of the built environment, getting it right. So that's going to require the melding of research, engineering, and the art of architecture. And it really needs that sort of approach. And that's how I met Wazim back in 1983. That was the paper I wrote at the 1983 World ISIS conference. So talking about multidisciplinary approaches to the built environment. It's still not done that well. We sort of get there, but we don't really make it the cornerstone of our thinking in framing courses. So I encourage you to do that. I'm hoping to spend a bit more in the next 3 years working with Wazim and the Future Industries Institute and see if we can get our 2 technologies and possibly others off the ground. And I'm really enjoying the mathematics and the science and the physics involved in it. And it's always been my hobby, but now it's my career. And that's really my third age. Part of that is the not-for-profit function of Time Arrow, which is a entrepreneurial support and providing professional advice and in decarbonising the built environment. Now, we've got 6 member directors. One of them is here tonight. It's Carol Warbank, sitting down here. So Carol and I and another couple of guys started Innovate Australia, and we have one of the board members here tonight, Colleen. So we knew that invention is just one bit of the process. Innovation is a success word. It goes from an invention to a product or a system or an idea that adds great value. If it doesn't add value, it's not an innovation. So I don't know why people are so scared of that word innovation, because really invention is the risky word. Innovation is a success word. It means it's actually added value, and it's working, and it's creating jobs and economy and decarbonising the built environment. So if you want to look at the long version, just give me your email address and I'll send you a copy. I'll even send you a copy of the short version. And there's also a document that Carol's put together, which I think is very good. I thought that the people they asked to be involved really need to express their passion. Why are they there? Why are we doing this not for profit? And so I asked each one of them to make a statement of what they want out of it and what are they prepared to do. So Carol's put a really nice document together, which will end up on the website, I think, for sure, as Pride and Pace. And the people involved is a very smart guy. He's been great assistance in getting us here. There's Ian Porter, who you probably all know. There's Carol, looking at marketing and public relations and IT and promotion. And she's had a lot of experience in not-for-profits. There's Rob Marie, who's a former banker, former capital raiser, and entrepreneur, businessman. There's Sean Kelly, who's one of the head partners of IIP, which does all the intellectual property for the University of Western Australia, for instance. So they'll probably be the best, youngest, most smartest IP guys around. And that patent was put together by Kelly, who did a very good job. And last but not least is a fellow called Rob Meacham. Rob Meacham used to be the head of the Public Service Union for 20 years. Prior to that, he was the chief of the Trades and Labour Council. So there's nothing about government or innovation and trades and industry connections he doesn't know. So I'm very, very happy to have a man of his quality helping to add wisdom to our board. So we're all member directors. There'll be probably a couple of other directors. One could be a highly regarded chemical engineer with contacts with Singapore. Wazim and I will put our heads together and work out there could be some representation from the future industries. And I see it possibly starting in WA, but being a collaboration with South Australia very quickly. And instead of us being, the end of the food chain, we end up, we're the guys creating action for the rest of Australia eventually. So we're being a bit dyslexic, not waiting for New South Wales to do it, for instance. We want to get on with it and show what entrepreneurship really is. And rather than talking about hope, I don't know, I hear people talking about hope all the time about climate change. Well, I'm just going to ask you to have faith. Have faith. Faith in yourself that you can get the job done, you and your team. We don't have a plan B. We don't have a planet B. We have to make plan A work. And that has to be a thermodynamic response that's based on logic, science, and mathematics. If it doesn't work at that level, you're deluding yourself. Yep. So we really need to tighten up, get a lot smarter, and start delivering real solutions that work and are done every day, and inspire the next generation to get on and get into it, create a future for themselves, because really it's up to them to see it through the way I see it. So thanks for listening. If there's any, you want to catch up with me after, give me your email address and I'll flick you a bit of propaganda. Thanks very much.